Oh, well, here I am again. And as promised, I want to make this video today about UFOs, or what they call them today, UAPs. And I think it's unidentified area phenomenon. I think that's what they call them today. But, and of course, aliens. So that's what I'm talking about, want to talk about today, because it is really being discussed today again. Why today? Well, number one, they have made this several years ago. They started disclosing alien activities. Now, the government has hidden these things for years, and they have conditioned people to believe that they don't exist. So now all of a sudden the government is supposed to disclose the knowledge about UFOs, so UAPs and aliens. And so for the several years now, they have been kind of opening up this information. Last year, they came out and saying, yes, the government has been observing a lot of these UAPs over the years. And clearly they said that these UAPs are really not from this world. They don't know of any of the governments that have this technology. So it's new technology that the government supposedly don't have. Okay. So they do kind of a soft introduction to this topic in order to not overwhelm people, because they have been hiding it, for years. So this year, what are they doing? They're coming out with more information, and again, it's a soft way of coming out. They're having a whistleblower supposedly talk about it. Now, if that whistleblower is coming out, I'm assuming really this is my gut feeling, okay, that these whistleblowers are allowed to speak out. And of course, we have lots of people that say, oh, no, they're not, they got the information from someplace and those people didn't give them the correct information, even though it's a reliable source. I will link on the bottom 2 videos that discuss this topic, and I think both of them have an interview with this whistleblower on it. And I think we should listen to the whistleblower. And I even had somebody who was actually evaluating this whistleblower according to their facial reactions. And if he's saying the truth, then supposedly he was saying the truth. So I've been kind of listening to different reports on it, and I want to encourage you to do the same thing. Now, is it true? I mean, has the government had found or in possession these either UFOs that were crashed or even landed? Well, we've been talking about this for years. Now, people, of course, mainstream was telling us, no, they don't exist, and it's all the conspiracy theorists, right? Theory means, hey, nobody has investigated it, but there's plenty of people that have investigated it. It just has not been, well, it is public, but not mainstream, okay? And the government is, of course, still denying it. And so they are now coming out with bits and pieces of this stuff. And I have also noticed, it's now June, we're going towards September, and they're giving you more information again around this time about aliens. They have been doing this now for years, covering this information about aliens, UFOs, or whatever they're called, UAPs. They've been doing this now because I think it was Trump that said, that requested that the government would disclose this information that they have. Now, we know about Roswell, okay? And of course, there's eyewitnesses that said, yep, something went on there. And of course, the government has denied it. It didn't come out. It's not publicly in mainstream media. Hey, they are here. We know that various presidents had contact with aliens, and not only our government, but maybe going even back to Hitler, and his followers had possibly connections to aliens, got possibly information from the aliens to even build these crafts that they had. They call that reverse engineering. In other words, they find these unidentified flying objects and they figure out what kind of technology they used, and so then they use that technology to give to us. Now, as Christians, we know that that's exactly what the fallen angels have done for thousands of years. Before the flood, that was actually done already. We know that from the book of Enoch, even when people say, oh, it's not a biblical book, blah, 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 blah. But it's a historical book, and we know that that has been done before the flood. People got corrupt because of that. Fallen angels teaching them how to make weapons and other things. So what I'm trying to say is that a lot of what we learn is from the fallen angels, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, that these fallen angels purposely, crashed these UFOs in order for humankind to get this technology, because this technology is going to be used to control humankind, or to even tamper with the DNA, changing who we are as human beings. Because that is exactly also what's happening today. They're preparing us that, we are not good, which is true. We are fallen human beings, but they're saying, well, we can make you better. But who made us bad or flawed in the first place? It happened because we followed Satan and we rebelled against God. So here is the problem we're having. We are rebelling against God. We're following a person, a being that is lower than God, and all that being wants to do is mess up God's creation. We follow it. In my last video, I talked about what is truth and how do we find the truth. What directions are we following? And if we're following the directions of Satan and the following angels, that's exactly what we have been doing. So here we are. Is it true? Did they find these crafts? Did they find these flying objects? And my gut again is saying yes. And where are they coming from? Aliens, fallen angels. There are no angels. Well, I can't say there are no, because I have no idea, where exactly they're coming from. And maybe that's not true either, because we have plenty of people that had experiences, scientific people, okay? Let's put it that way. Not mainstream science, but scientific people that had contact with aliens, okay? And so it's not like, oh no, they don't exist. We have plenty of information, and these people clearly said that these aliens are really from other dimensions. So interdimensional beings, not necessarily from other planets, but interdimensional, because of the way these objects move. The objects that we see in the sky do not go by any of the rules that our flying objects go by. Okay, they appear and disappear, and so we have to be looking at it. So these flying objects have become, got into the hands of government, or even then private investors like Raytheon, I think, is one of them, or all the other ones that build any of the military technology, and they continue to develop, or computers. Okay, our whole technology, I believe, is really re-engineered from these crafts. Let's say crafts from these objects that they found, alien objects they found. Alien, again, I'm saying it, from fallen angels, because that's the only thing really, well, I shouldn't say that, but that's what researchers found, that again, these are beings from other dimensions. And the only beings that God created in the Bible that he told us is the fallen, or the angels. And there was what, how many? 2/3 fell with Satan. Satan rebelled. We read that in the Bible. And so then even he was kicked out of heaven, right? Well, during the time Jesus resurrected, before he went into heaven, he was kicked out, because there was no more room for him, because Jesus defeated him on the cross. So he was kicked out with his angels. So now we know, okay, kicked out of heaven, but again, where's heaven? Is he still in this other dimension, or is he totally banned into this dimension that we are in, this 3-dimensional or 4-dimensional space and time dimension? Or can he still go, to another dimension and then back? Because see, heaven is really probably further than that dimension. So if he is still, able to be over time, in other words, he can and disappear in space and time, then that would be understandable that these what do you call them, phenomenon, right, can be appear and disappear, because that's what they call them, phenomenon, unidentified area phenomenon. Okay, so that's what they call them. So in other words, flying objects or other technology, like for instance Project Bluebeam, that we can actually put objects, 3-dimensional objects, in the air. Okay, it's like a 3D picture. Okay, that's technology, and we know that that's already something they have developed, a 3-dimensional picture. So all this technology, I believe, came from the fallen angels. Of course, when we totally throw out anything supernatural, which they have done, then they could redefine these supernatural things. They didn't go away. They just simply redefined them. So now they're not fallen angels anymore. They're not angels anymore. They're not demons anymore. There's no God. And so now we can actually redefine them. And that's what has been happening in the past years. That has been happening. So again, why now? Why disclosure right now? Are we ready to accept that they're aliens? Or rather, are they now getting us ready? Because, even though they have been around probably since Hitler's time, and even before, of course, working with the government, always working with the government people. Of course, they have been around forever, because they have been working with the Vatican forever. So they have been around. Since they were kicked out of Earth, they are more active in the political system, because they created their own political system that we think is a democracy. Okay? Since, the United States, they allowed, really, the United States to develop a democracy, and in reality, they only use that to be able to throw back humankind again into a total control, absolute control. That's has always been not God's, but Satan's goal, is total control of humankind, distortion of the DNA, God's creation, and absolute control. That's what he wants, because he does not want anybody to connect to God again. And that's what we know is the truth from the Bible. So again, why are they now so active disclosing these things? I have talked in my videos last year, again around this time, I believe I have done a lot of videos about this topic. And why around this time? Well, because it is my belief, and it's not biblical, but I have read that from outside other sources, non-biblical sources. For instance, Alice Bailey, who is one of the gurus of the New Age movement. Alice Bailey, look her up, who said that eventually these spiritual beings or gurus, they will take out these people that are against progress. And that is the Christians. They're working on that today to make the Christians look like that they're against progress, against liberation, against people choosing, okay, like any gender they want. That's what they're saying. They have to bring that out. So these are the people that are really against progress. They are conservative, traditional, and so they can use it and say, well, they are against progress, against unification, globalism, whatever you want. And these people need to be snuffed out, taken out, re-educated. And this is exactly what they're going to use once the rapture will happen. They will say these people have been taken out by the aliens. Whether these aliens will be painted as benevolent or not, okay? Even if they're not benevolent, they can actually say, oh, the aliens did it. They took these people out because the aliens wanted to help humankind, and these people were just not going along with the program. So this is what's going to happen. They have to prepare people now to believe that there's actually aliens. See, people are still kicking and screaming right now when these people come out with this information, because they were brainwashed to believe, oh, no, that doesn't exist, that doesn't exist. No, they don't want to believe that the government has been hiding. I don't want to say lie, but definitely hiding, deceiving humankind. All governments, some governments are more generous with giving information, like the Russians are actually more generous, letting their people know what's going on. And the United States was totally denying it. Yeah, denying. Okay, is that a lie? It's just a deception, definitely. And so now they have to prepare these deniers, right? That there's actually such a thing. And so now what they're going to do is they're going to prove these things. They have to show Congress, this whistleblower, has to bring evidence, okay? Evidence that the government has these flying objects, or these objects, or even maybe aliens. Here again, I have talked about alien beings. What are those? Well, I think those are created things. They have actually created because of technology, and they have created these. I have said in my previous videos that I believe that they are avatars, and actually avatars for the demons. See, now the demons don't have to possess you anymore, or possess a human being or an animal anymore. They can just create these avatars, and so then demons can just go into these avatars and use them and cause craziness. Now, these avatars are being used in the alien abduction situations. There are people, credible people, and people have checked it out, that people were abducted by aliens. But then again, you check it in, they notice it has a lot in common with demon activity. Okay, when demons and really mind control, so that these people may not have real experiences. Well, they are real experiences, but they were more in the mind and not physical. So that they just had these experiences in the mind, okay? And they were not real. So all these things have been checked out, people. It's not anything new. But again, if you connect it to demonic activity and activity of fallen angels, then things, at least for me, it makes more sense. And again, why? Because we're coming close again to the rapture time. Now, lots of people don't understand that there's a rapture time. The rapture is not happening just at any time. A lot of people say, oh, we have this and this, and this is the, could be a window for the rapture. No, the window for the rapture is only on the Feast of Trumpets. I have so many people telling me, oh, it could happen again right there in Passover and real Passover or Pentecost or whatever. No, those were already fulfilled. These feasts were fulfilled. All the feasts up to Pentecost were fulfilled by Jesus. They're not going to be fulfilled again. They all had Jesus had a certain purpose that he was fulfilling on those days. The next feast that needs to be fulfilled is the Feast of Trumpets, or Rosh Hashanah. And that is in the fall, that is in September. That is the next event that needs to be fulfilled. And again, that is the rapture time, when Jesus will return for his bride. He will come like a thief in the night, just like that day, the trumpet day. He will come like a thief in the night. Same topic for the feast as for Jesus' return. He will come like a thief in the night. Okay, or nobody knows the day or the hour or the hour or whatever it is, day and the hour. Okay, this is all symbolic for that feast, and therefore we know that that is the feast where Jesus returns for his bride. And since we're coming close, people, Satan knows that. Okay, he's not dumb. He is not dumb. He knows the Bible better than you. He knows prophecy better than you. And he knows that September, or the Feast of Trumpets, is a time when Jesus will return. He knows it. And so every year he is prepared for that feast. Are you prepared for that feast, or are you ignorant and deceived? Here's the question. Okay? Are you ignorant and deceived, or are you every year prepared, especially on that day, for him to pick you up? Okay? Are you connected to him? I say that in every one of my videos. Be connected to him. That is what you have to do in order to be part of the bride and in order to be taken out. I had a conversation, with one of my family members. Okay, when is the rapture happening? See, he thinks, it's going to be happening when? At the end? He doesn't even know himself. Well, he's looking at the harvest, right? The harvest. He thinks, it will be during the harvest. Well, when is the harvest? The harvest is really during the wrath of God, the day of the Lord. When the day of the Lord starts, 1,000 years, but when it starts is the harvest. When it starts. However, what he didn't understand is that there's a pre-harvest, okay? The harvest of the first fruit. And that is not the main harvest. That main harvest will be done during the wrath of God. But the pre-harvest will be done, of course, before the harvest. And that is the harvest of the first fruit. And that is the rapture. Maybe that's what another one I need to really talk about so people understand that better. I've talked about it so many times, and I know people don't have that information, and that's why they're going, they're confused. So anyways, but we need to be prepared because Satan is prepared. We need to be prepared. Satan and his followers are prepared every year. So we need to be prepared as well. Why should we walk in darkness? Okay. First Thessalonians 5. Paul says, you are not in darkness. You shouldn't be walking in darkness. You should be walking in the light. And you should know when your master is returning. Okay. Now, we don't know the pastor, but you should see the signs. And you should at least be ready. Okay. You will see the sign. Because Paul said there's going to be signs. Jesus said there's going to be signs. He says, watch the fig tree and you know the signs. See, he's not saying, oh my goodness, you don't know anything. No, watch the signs. That's what he says. Anyways, I'm coming to an end. I just wanted to give you this information about these UFOs. Keep your ears open. Okay, listen to how this is going to pan out. Okay, are they gonna prove they don't have any these flying objects? I don't think so. I think it goes towards exposing these flying objects they have, and then they're gonna say, oh, but we don't know anything else about it, and no, we don't have any contact with aliens yet, or whatever nonsense they're saying. Okay, because they're not disclosing it fully. Okay, it's going to be a gradual disclosure. I watch Redacted with Clayton Morris once in a while, and he's covering this very well. And so I will put some videos on the bottom for you to watch. But again, I think, of course, they had these crafts, and also they had, of course, contact with these aliens, which are fallen angels. And these fallen angels, like I said, had contact with humankind, specific people like the Vatican, for now, 2,000 years? And they're giving directions. They are giving directions to our governments, to the Pope, in how to lead humankind. There's no doubt in my mind. Anyways, let the Holy Spirit guide you always.